When it came to the ending of The Witcher Season 4, everything revolved around one word: family. From the very first episode, we saw how that theme threaded through every storyline, every battle, and every painful choice. Geralt's journey this season wasn't just about tracking monsters or swinging swords, it was about reclaiming what was stolen from him, the sense of belonging he once had with Yennefer and Ciri. Throughout his path, Geralt wasn't the lone wolf we once knew. This time, he found himself surrounded by unlikely allies, people who risked their lives beside him, forming a makeshift family that reminded him of what he'd lost. But as always in The Witcher's world, love and loyalty come with a cost. The closer Geralt got to his goal, the further the world seemed to pull him away from it. Meanwhile, Ciri's story took a dark and unexpected turn. After escaping from one danger, only to fall into another, she found herself tangled in a world of deceit and death. She joined the group known as the Rats, young outlaws chasing freedom in a realm ruled by chaos. But freedom came with bloodshed. Her new companions offered her something that resembled a home, but it was built on violence and revenge. And just when it seemed like she might finally carve out her place in the world, Leo Bonhard appeared. The infamous bounty hunter, cold and calculated, turned what felt like a fresh start into a nightmare. His ambush of the Rats was brutal, not just physically, but emotionally. The show didn't hold back, and in that moment, you could almost feel the innocence in Ciri die all over again. Bonhard's arrival wasn't just another villain introduction. It was a statement. Ciri's path toward destiny would now be marked by blood, loss, and vengeance. As for Yennefer, she faced her own war on a completely different front. The Battle of Monte Carvo left the world in pieces, with mages wiped out and the balance of power shifting once again. But Yennefer's resolve hardened. She was no longer the selfish sorceress we met seasons ago. Now, she carried the weight of leadership and love, still determined to find Ciri while confronting the shadow of Vilgefortz, whose lust for power reached terrifying new levels. His obsession with Ciri's elder blood, a force capable of collapsing space and time, made him one of the most dangerous beings in existence. Through fragments of his mind, we glimpsed what he planned to do if he got his hands on her. Drain her essence, twist her power into his own, and break the very fabric of the world. Yennefer's victory over his army may have seemed like the end of his reign, but anyone who knows the Witcher's world knows better. Evil never dies. It simply waits. The most haunting part of the finale wasn't just the battles or betrayals. It was what came after. When Geralt finally learned that the girl in Nilfgaard wasn't Ciri, but an imposter, the ground beneath his mission collapsed. Every lead, every fight, every sacrifice he'd made now led to nothing. The real Ciri was out there, captured, alone, and broken, while he found himself bound by duty in an entirely new way. After aiding Queen Meve in the war, Geralt was knighted as Sir Geralt of Rivia. The title sounded noble, but it came with chains. He swore allegiance to her kingdom, meaning his oath now stood in the way of his own destiny. If he left her side, it would be considered treason, a crime punishable by death. And just like that, the Witcher who once roamed freely was trapped once again. This time, not by monsters or mages, but by the politics of men. But the finale's biggest twist came from the one person who had been silently pulling strings all along, Emperor Emhyr. Once known as Duny, the man Geralt saved long ago, Emhyr revealed his true intentions: to kill Geralt and reclaim the destiny that was taken from him. According to prophecy, the child born of Duny and Pavetta, Ciri, was meant to shape the world's fate. But when Geralt saved Duny's life, he unknowingly bound himself to that same destiny. Now, for Emhyr to take it back, Geralt must die. It's a chilling setup for what's to come. A final season where destiny itself will pit father against father figure, love against fate, and bloodline against bond. So, by the end of Season 4, The Witcher left us with more questions than answers. Ciri, imprisoned and grieving, stands on the edge of becoming something darker. Yennefer, relentless and scarred, prepares to strike back against Vilgefortz's lingering shadow. And Geralt, torn between duty and destiny, carries the weight of a family he still hasn't found. The storm is brewing, and this time, no one is safe.
As the dust settled after the final battle, something became clear. Season 4 wasn't just about monsters and magic anymore. It was about the cost of destiny. Every major character ended the season at a crossroads, each one paying a price for the choices they made and for the ones they didn't. And what made this finale so powerful was how it forced every hero to question what destiny really means. Is it something written in blood and prophecy, or something you fight to change, even when it feels impossible? For Geralt, Yennefer, and Ciri, that question hung over every decision, every scar, and every heartbreak. Let's start with Ciri, because her transformation this season was one of the darkest yet. The girl we once knew as a frightened princess running from her past became something far more complex, a survivor hardened by betrayal and bloodshed. When she joined the Rats, it wasn't just to hide. It was her way of searching for freedom, for an identity that wasn't tied to destiny or lineage. But freedom in the Witcher's world always comes at a price, and hers was steep. She was pulled deeper into the underworld of crime and violence, learning that not all monsters have claws. Some wear smiles. And when Leo Bonhart appeared, that illusion shattered completely. Bonhart's presence in the finale was chilling, because he didn't just kill Ciri's friends. He dismantled her sense of belonging all over again. The way he moved, the calmness in his cruelty. It reminded us that the Witcher's true horrors are often human. When he captured Ciri, tying her up as a trophy to be traded for a bounty, it wasn't just a defeat. It was a rebirth. Because in that moment, you could see something change in her eyes. The survivor became the avenger, and that spark will almost certainly ignite in the next season. Meanwhile, Yennefer's story mirrored Ciri's in a haunting way. Both women fought for control, one over her power, the other over her fate. And both ended up realizing that control doesn't come without sacrifice. After breaking Vilgefortz's grip on the portals and witnessing the fall of so many mages at Monte Carvo, Yennefer's sense of purpose sharpened like a blade. She wasn't just a sorceress anymore. She was a leader who had lost too many people to stand by and watch the world crumble. The image of Yennefer standing amidst the ruins, blood on her hands but fire in her eyes, perfectly captured the tone of this finale. Victory laced with tragedy. Her war isn't over. It's only beginning. Vilgefortz may have been defeated for now, but his influence lingers like a curse. The vision Yennefer saw inside his mind, where he harnessed Ciri's bloodline to collapse space and time, may not have been fantasy. It could be prophecy. And that's what makes the next chapter so dangerous. Because if he ever does return, or if someone else learns to use Ciri's power, the world could literally tear itself apart. Geralt, on the other hand, faced a battle of his own, one without swords or spells. His struggle was internal. After everything he endured, all the blood he spilled and every promise he made, he finally reached a point where he realized the thing he wanted most might be slipping further away. The irony is painful. In his quest to bring his family back together, he unknowingly built a new one. His companions, a group of misfits, rebels, and wanderers, stood by him when they didn't have to. Through their loyalty, Geralt discovered something he hadn't felt in a long time: belonging. But the Witcher's curse has always been that anything he loves gets taken from him, and the ending reinforced that cruel truth. When Queen Meve knighted him, the gesture seemed honorable at first, but underneath the ceremony was a trap disguised as glory. The moment Geralt accepted the title of Sir Geralt of Rivia, he bound himself to a kingdom, something he'd always avoided. The wolf had been collared, and even he didn't realize it, and that's the beauty of how the finale was written. It didn't need to end with a grand explosion or a final showdown. Instead, it left us with a quiet dread, the realization that every victory had a hidden cost. Geralt's heroism cost him his freedom. Yennefer's triumph cost her peace, and Ciri's survival cost her innocence. 3 separate paths, all connected by destiny, all leading toward an inevitable clash that's yet to come. The show's writing this season leaned heavily into emotional tension, rather than just spectacle, and that's where it succeeded most. It wasn't about who had the biggest fight scene. It was about who had the heaviest burden to carry when the fighting stopped. But if we take a closer look, the ending also served as a reminder that The Witcher is no longer about saving the continent. It's about saving each other. Geralt's decision to stay loyal to Queen Meve wasn't just about honor. It was guilt. Deep down, he believes that by serving her, by doing something good, he might finally balance the scales of all the lives he's taken. But destiny doesn't work that way in this world. Every action has consequences, and the more Geralt tries to outrun his fate, the faster it catches up. And with Emperor Emhyr now setting his sights on him, there's no more running left to do. The man he once saved now sees him as the final obstacle to reclaiming his daughter's destiny. The hunter has become the hunted. Season 4 ended not with a bang, but with a slow tightening of the noose. A setup that promises a fifth and final season that will test every bond, every belief, and every prophecy the show has ever built. And for fans who followed this world from the very beginning, the question isn't whether Geralt, Ciri, or Yennefer will survive. It's what they'll become by the time it's over. If there's one thing The Witcher has always done well, it's showing that destiny is never as simple as it seems. What looks like fate from one side often turns out to be manipulation from another. And in Season 4, that truth became clearer than ever. Because behind every prophecy, every bloodline, and every act of heroism, there's always someone pulling the strings. And most of the time, it isn't who you expect. The finale made it painfully obvious that the war for Ciri's power isn't just about who finds her first. It's about who truly understands what she represents. She isn't just a princess or a witcher in training anymore. She's the key to reality itself. And the terrifying part? Everyone knows it. Let's talk about Emperor Emhyr for a moment, because his reveal as the dark mirror to Geralt's destiny is one of the most chilling parts of the entire season. When we first met him as Dunny years ago, he was a man cursed to look like a monster, saved only because Geralt showed him mercy. That single act of kindness was what bound their fates together. But now, years later, that same mercy has come back to haunt them both. The prophecy states that the child of the Elder Blood will shape the world's fate, and because Geralt saved Dunny, he unknowingly claimed a part of that destiny for himself. So when Emhyr learned that, his response wasn't grief, it was fury. The only way to restore what he believes is rightfully his is to end Geralt's life. It's a dark and poetic twist. The man who owes everything to Geralt now sees him as the one thing standing between him and godhood. This looming confrontation sets the stage for what could become the emotional heart of the next season. Because this isn't just a war over power, it's a war over Ciri's soul. Geralt sees her as his daughter. Yennefer sees her as family. And Emhyr sees her as destiny, a weapon forged from blood and prophecy. And with Ciri now in the clutches of Leo Bonhart, all three paths are destined to collide. The show's brilliance lies in how it built this tension piece by piece. Each character is walking toward the same storm, but none of them know just how close they already are. Speaking of storms, let's take a closer look at Leo Bonhart, the silent monster of the finale. His appearance might have been brief, but it was unforgettable. Bonhart isn't just another mercenary. He's a ghost from the darkest corners of the continent, a man whose name carries the same fear as any monster Geralt has ever faced. The way he dismantled the rats was almost methodical, like a predator playing with its prey. But what makes him so terrifying isn't just his skill, it's his lack of purpose. Bonhart doesn't kill for power or justice. He kills because it's what he's best at. And now, with Ciri in his grasp, that soulless hunger has found its perfect victim. But the thing about Ciri is, she doesn't stay broken for long. Every time she's been beaten down, she's come back stronger. And something tells me Bonhart is about to learn that the hard way. But while the finale gave us plenty of chaos and blood, it also left us with quiet moments that carried far more weight. One of the most powerful things about this season was how it showed the cost of trying to be human in a world that keeps pushing you toward being a monster. Geralt's compassion, Yennefer's guilt, and Ciri's rage all stem from the same place: love. And that's what the show keeps circling back to. The Witcher's world isn't built on good versus evil. It's built on choices. Every character is just trying to do what they think is right, even if it means destroying themselves in the process. That's what makes this series so tragically beautiful. And then there's Geralt's knighthood, a moment that's both iconic and heartbreaking. Seeing him stand before Queen Maeve as she names him Sir Geralt of Rivia should have felt like a victory. But the irony couldn't be heavier. For a man who spent his life avoiding politics, avoiding kings, avoiding any kind of loyalty beyond his own code, this new title is nothing short of a curse. He now has obligations, something Witchers were never meant to have. His freedom, the very essence of who he is, has been stripped away under the guise of honor. The wolf has been tamed, at least for now. And while the Queen's intentions may seem pure, her decision ties directly into the show's broader theme, that even the noblest gestures in this world come with shadows. As the camera panned out in that final scene, with Geralt and his companions looking toward an uncertain horizon, you could feel the weight of everything unsaid. Ciri was gone. Yennefer was broken, but determined, and the world they'd all fought to protect was more fractured than ever. But beneath that hopelessness was something else, a spark of defiance. Because no matter how dark the road gets, Geralt of Rivia has never been the kind of man to stop walking. What's most impressive about Season 4's ending is how it managed to set up the next season without losing sight of the characters' emotional journeys. It wasn't just building toward a massive battle, it was building toward an emotional reckoning. Every choice made this season, every death, every lie, every act of mercy will echo into the next chapter. Geralt's oath to the Queen, Yennefer's mission to destroy Vilgefortz, Ciri's capture by Bonhart, and Ymir's ruthless plan all feel like dominoes waiting to fall. The question isn't if they'll collide, it's when and how badly. And as we look toward the future, one thing is certain. Destiny isn't done with any of them. The continent is changing, and not even a Witcher can fight what's coming. The power of elder blood is awakening, the empires are shifting, and the lines between friend and foe are blurring faster than ever. The finale didn't just close a story, it opened a war. One that will decide the fate of every realm, every mage, and every monster that walks the land. Now that we've broken down what actually happened in the finale, it's time to look deeper into what it meant. Because beneath all the action, magic, and bloodshed, The Witcher, Season 4 was really about transformation. Every main character faced a mirror this season, and what they saw looking back wasn't who they used to be. The continent is changing, and so are they. What made the ending hit so hard wasn't just the events themselves, but the realization that no one can go back to the way things were. The family that once stood together is scattered, scarred, and reshaped by everything they've lost. Let's start with Geralt again, because his journey this season was far more emotional than it was physical. From the very beginning, he was chasing a ghost. Ciri wasn't just his ward or his responsibility anymore. She was his purpose. But as the episodes went on, you could sense that his quest was less about finding her and more about redeeming himself. Every swing of his sword, every monster he faced, every risk he took, it all came from guilt. Guilt for not protecting her. Guilt for letting destiny tear his family apart. And when the finale crowned him with knighthood, it almost felt like the world was mocking him. Here was a man searching for freedom and love, only to be bound by titles and duty. Geralt's silent acceptance of Maeve's honor said everything. He's a man who would rather bear the weight of loyalty than admit to himself that he's lost what truly matters. That's the tragedy of Geralt in this season. For all his strength and resilience, the one thing he can't fight is his own heart. Then we have Yennefer, who's been on one of the most compelling emotional arcs in the entire series. For the first time, she wasn't the most powerful person in the room. The loss at Monte Carvo, the deaths of her allies, and her failure to find Ciri stripped away everything that once defined her. But instead of breaking her, it remade her. What we saw in the final moments of the season wasn't a sorceress obsessed with power. It was a woman ready to burn the world down to protect what little she has left. Her anger is no longer about ambition, it's about loss. Her pain feels raw and real, and that's what makes her so dangerous heading into Season 5. Because now, she's not fighting for herself. She's fighting for the only family she's ever known. If Season 4 was about rediscovering who she was, Season 5 will be about how far she's willing to go to save what's left of her soul.